Welcome learners, I am Dr. Gopal Dutt. I am working in the School of Vocational Studies Uttarakhand Open University Haldwani. In today's session, we are here with you how to use try and catch block in Java's built-in exception. We are here with you using try and catch Java's built-in exception and user defined exceptions. So let us start. The learning objectives of this session are to know the use of try and catch, even finally block, to define Java's built-in exceptions, to explore user defined exceptions, and to understand the use of throw and throws keyword. In the last lecture, we were discussing about the basics of exceptional handling in Java, different kinds of possible exceptions in Java, various keywords which are used to handle exceptions in Java, and reasons to occur an exception in Java. So let us start with try block. The basic information about try and catch block we have already shared with you in our last lecture. The first step in constructing an exceptional handler is to enclose the code that might throw an exception within a try block. That is the first responsibility of a programmer. He or she should know the probable place where the exception may occur. So we should try to enclose such block of code inside the try block as mentioned here. The catch block. You associate exception handlers with a try block by providing one or more catch blocks directly after the try block. It means after completion of try block, you must use catch block. No code can be between the end of try block and the beginning of the first catch block. The point to be noted, I am repeating this statement again. There may not be any code in between the end of try block and the beginning of the first catch block. So that is very important. In general, a try and catch block looks like the following. So I am trying to share example with you. See, try block is here at the place where the exception may occur. We must enclose such block inside the try, and I have mentioned in the yellow color here at no code is here at the end of try block or before the catch block. In this example you are seeing there are two catch blocks, catch block 1, catch block 2. It means in your program as per need you may use multiple catch blocks, you may use multiple catch blocks as well as multiple try blocks, or even nested try. Nested try blocks also may use. Each catch block is an exception handler that handles the type of exception indicated by its argument. We should know what type of argument a catch block can handle. So as per the argument type, or we can say as per the exception type, the catch block may differ. The argument type and exception type declares the type of exception that the handler can handle. The handler indicates here to the catch block and must be the name of a class that inherits from the throwable class. So the things to be noted that the handler can refer to the exception with name. The catch block contains code that is executed if and when an exception handler is invoked. The question is arised, when the exception handler is invoked, when error or exception occurred. The relevant exception is occurred inside the try block. Then the relevant exceptional handler will invoke. The runtime system invokes the exception handler when the handler is the first one in the call stack whose exception type matches the type of the exception thrown. What happens actually, that after occurring the exception inside the try block, that exception is thrown and the catch block tries to catch and invokes the relevant handler of the exception. The system considers it a match if the thrown object can legally be assigned to the exception handler's argument. The role of finally block is very important. The finally block always executes when the try block exists. It means whenever you will use try block or you will use catch block, so that is the possibility. The finally block, as I said, that is optional, but if once you have used try block, the if finally block is there at, that must execute it. This ensures that the finally block is executed even if an unexpected exception occurs. So sometimes the finally block is used to handle unexpected exceptions. That is also the use of finally block. When a finally block is defined, this is guaranteed to execute regardless of whether or not that exception is thrown. As a result, we can use it to perform certain operations such as closing files and releasing system resources. That depends on your vision, on the vision of the developer. If once the finally block is mentioned, so what type of task, what type of job you may fulfill through the finally block. As we said, the finally block will execute in any circumstances if the finally block is mentioned in your code block. The finally block is act as putting cleanup code inside that. It means we can say to utilize the finally block in your according your need is a good idea. even when no exceptions are anticipated. The finally block may be added immediately after the try block or after the last catch block. So that can't matter, the finally block comes before catch block or at the end. Sometimes the learners have a confusion in some text they used to face. The final block is at the end as its name implies finally, but that can't matter. With the help of example we are trying to explain how we can use finally block. Look at that, there are two try blocks. After just completion of try block we have started finally block, then we have started catch block. So we may change the same order. Before finally block, after completion of this try block, we can use catch block also, or maybe multiple catch blocks. So that depends. You may practice the Java exception handling methods. So you will try, I hope so. So there is an example which is about handling exception using try, catch and finally block. So very simple example, I have a class named main1. Inside this class main function is mentioned. You are seeing public static void main, and the main function takes an string type argument, so as supplied. So try block is here at, again we have tried, we are trying to do the same exception. The probable exception code is here at, we have the possibility such line of code can lead errors and can lead exception. So after, just after the completion of try block we have mentioned catch block, and the catch block takes the argument arithmetic exception. It's a class type and its instance E is there at, you may change its name. This E is user defined name, you can use any valid identifier name here at, and inside this catch block we are trying to display the error message, right, with the help of e.get message. So in the last lecture I have explained the different methods to display the error information, error type and error description, either such that one of them is get message, and the catch block is now over. After completion of catch block we have started finally block. There is no argument type. Inside the finally block I have just make a single line of code, made a single line of code that may display this is the finally block. So you may change this text, this is just for the example. So look at the output of such code, what will happen. See, arithmetic exception divided by 0, this is the finally block. So how to use in practical manner try, catch and finally, I think now you will be able to try by your own. So Java's built-in exceptions, some commonly used Java's built-in exceptions. In the last session we were discussing and also explained their cause of exceptions, such that as here mentioned, arithmetic exception, array index out of bounds exception, class not found exception, IO exception, interpreted exception, no such field exception, null pointer exception, runtime exception. They are. We have already explained all such common Java built-in exceptions, we can say. So in this session, we are trying to demonstrate some of the common Java exceptions with their relevant code. So out of the mentioned Java common exceptions, we have chosen 2-3 such that we will try to demonstrate null pointer exception, how the null pointer exception can occur, number format exception. We will try to explain how the number format exception can occur during the Java programming. As well, class not found exception, how class not found exception can occur, and the popular one, arithmetic exception. I think not need to explain here yet. We have already explained in the last lecture how arithmetic exception can occur. This is some of the typical examples. So let us start with null pointer exception. I think so. Null pointer exception. So we have defined a class null pointer underscore demo. This is our class we have defined. I wish you will try to do the same during this session, during when you will watch this video. So may pause it and try to do the same. So you will be very happy that you are able to handle the exception by your own. So inside this null pointer underscore demo class, we have used main function, and inside this main function, just after, we have try to use try block. As we know, try block is used where we have a possibility of occurring an error. Again I am repeating the same. So what have happened there, at a variable is declared of type string, or we can say a instance of string class, and assigned the null value. So null value is assigned over a instance or a variable of type string named A. You may change the name of this instance, and trying to do in the next line system.out.println, look at that, we are trying to do the value which is at the 0 position of this variable of this instance a dot char at, right. So I think this is illegal in the first instance in the previous line, as we are declaring the variable, the instance does not have any value, it contains null value, and in the next line we are trying to access the value which is at the 0 location. So I think that may lead an exception called null pointer exception. So after completion of the try block, there is a catch block which may handle the null pointer exception. Its instance e is there at, as earlier I said, you may change the e is a instance. This is a instance of null pointer exception class. This e is user defined, you can use anything else. That should be the valid identifier. That e may comes under the naming rules of Java token systems. Naming rules we can say directly. The system.out.println inside the catch block, so that will lead null pointer exception. We have displayed a message. So look at its output, what will happen, see. So null pointer exception, it means just comes again in the previous slide, see. So it means when once we have assigned a null value, and again in the next line we are trying to access the value which is stored at its 0 position, so that is not possible, that leads exception, that exception named null pointer exception. Yet simply we have displayed the message. We may print with the help of e.get message in the earlier cases as you have shown. So the next common Java exception is named number format exception. So again, with the help of this example, we are trying to explain how such kind of exception occurs. Look at this example. User defined class is here at number format underscore demo. You may change the name of this class. This is defined by user. A main function is declared here at, and try block is starts right now. See what happens. A variable of type integer num is there at, and we are trying to convert with the help of integer dot parseInt method. What are we doing? We are trying to change the text named Tannu, Tannu. You may change this name, you can use anything else. See, and as we know, Tannu is not a numeric number, right? So that may lead an exception, that may occur an exception, or such kind of exception comes under number format exception. So we are trying to print system.out.println. We are trying to print the value of num. As we know, we were doing some wrong operation in the conversion of numbers. So catch statement is just after the try block. See, number format exception, this is predefined class, and its instance e is there at, and inside this catch block we have mentioned a display message for you. Look at the output, that will be the output of number format exception. So some of the Java's built-in exceptions we were trying to demonstrate, and moreover you will try by yourself such kind of common Java exceptions. One more exception which is popularly comes in the programming practices, that is class not found exception. So look at that, another exception, another example which demonstrates how the class not found exception may occur. There is a class we have defined, that name of that class is class not found exception underscore demo. So if you think this is a too much long, too long name, you shorter your class name. As I said, this class is defined by the user, I think you know it, and public main function is described, is mentioned there. Try block is started. In this try block we are trying to do class class dot for name, right? So what are we doing? We are trying to define, we are trying to use class 1. As we know, class 1 is not defined, right? So just by mistake we have mentioned it to check the class not found exception, how that occurs. After completion of this try block, catch block is there at, and it takes the instance of class not found exception, and println e, what type of message in this e, right? E, that is instance having the error type and error description, I think so, as earlier I discussed with you. And another message is, oh, class not found. See, I have mentioned the statement. Look, its output, oh, class not found. So such kind of output you will get it. So I have discussed with you the three model examples how Java's built-in exceptions may lead exceptions, how handle exceptions, and there are more common Java exceptions. You can use them in your regular practice. So let us move the next slide. What do you think about user defined exceptions? So Java provides us the facility to create our own exceptions, which are basically derived classes of exception. Creating our own exception is known as custom exception or user defined exception. Point to be noted, creating our own exception is called custom exception or user defined exception. It means we have a facility to create our own exceptions except Java's built-in exceptions. So that is the facility of Java environment we make. So basically Java user defined exceptions are used to customize the exception according to user needs. This is well idea. In other words, we can say that a user defined exception is a way to create your own exception class and throwing that exception using the throw keyword. The example of user defined exceptions and how to use throw keyword we will see in the next slide. How to throw your own exception or throwing user defined exception. How to do this? There may be times when we would like to throw our own exception called user defined exceptions. We can do this by the use of throw keyword, right? Such that we are trying to do throw, then new, then arithmetic exception. We can, right? Throw, new, then number format exception. So that is the example. See the complete example in the next slide. Now throwing own exception, a brief note on the given example, how that happened. So we are going to demonstrate an example about throwing user defined exceptions. The example demonstrates the use of user defined subclass of a throwable class. Note that exception is a subclass of throwable and therefore my exception is a subclass of throwable class, an object of a class that extends throwable can be thrown and caught. Okay, so here is the example how user defined exceptions can be handled. Look at that. What happens? We have defined a class. My class extends exception. It means there is a concept of inheritance. I think you have gone through this concept. And the next, after completion of this class, one Java package is also incorporated or imported here at that java.lang.exception, and class test my exception, right? We have defined the class, main function is there at. Okay, so again what have happened, two integer type variables you are seeing there at declared before the try block. Now try block starts, so we are doing some silly mistake to test how the error user defined exception can be caught, can be handled. See what happens, we have converted the integer values into float. The type conversion is there at, and the next second part of this block, look at that. If condition starts, we are trying to compare is z less than 0.01. so if that happened, so throw new. We are trying to throw, as I said, how to use throw. See in the second block, right side block, second line, throw new my exception, number is too small. So we have defined our own class right now, as earlier we are discussing common Java exceptions. So now in this example we are trying to use our own exception, and if this condition comes under true, so what will happen, the message, the exception will be thrown where the my exception class is declared. See, now catch block, after completion of this try block, if true block closed and try block closed, now catch block starts here. So inside this caught my exception, if exception occurred. So you are seeing my exceptions. So instance E is there. Earlier I also said E is not specific, it becomes by mouth that becomes popular. You may change that name, any any user defined name. So my class is, we have discussed, we had defined the class yet, so that my class is compulsory right now, and object of that my class is E. So we are trying to display the message using e dot get message. Okay, system.out.println. See the how to print the exception, exception message is its a description with the help of get message we have described in last lecture. So after completion of this try block and catch block, finally block is there. Just for your knowledge how to use finally block when we are handling our own exception. So we are going to discuss its output. Look at that, caught my exception, and number is too small, that the second number line is very important, and we have shown how to define your own exception and how to handle your user defined exception. And the last line, third line in the output one is I am from finally block. And always here, just for your reference, that how to use try, catch and finally block in the reference of your own user defined functions or own functions. So I think that example is becomes useful for you all. Now how to use throws, that is very important. There could be situations where there is a possibility that the method might throw certain kinds of exceptions, but there is no exception handling mechanism prevalent within the method. In such a case, it is important that the method caller is intimated explicitly that certain types of exceptions could be expected from the called method, and the caller must get prepared with some catching mechanism to deal with it. So in such situation, throws keyword is useful. So the throws clause is used, as I said, in such situations. It is specified immediately after the method declaration statement and just before the opening brace. Look at the example. Here we are trying to demonstrate the use of throws keyword. One class is declared, we have defined our own class, example throws, right? So static void divide m, there is a method, and throws arithmetic exception. How to use throws, we are trying to here do some operation inside this method, and after this the method is over, the brace is closed. Now main function starts, and we are trying to call this method inside the try block function call divide underscore m. Earlier we have defined in this class, and now we are trying to call it. So what may happen, see, catch block is there at arithmetic exception may occur. So look at the output. The output caught the exception java.lang.arithmetic exception and divide by 0. So these are the things. Now some of the key points on exception handling. It is a good program does not produce unexpected results. We must incorporate features that could check for potential problem spots in programs and can act as guard against problem failures. The probable problem conditions known as exceptions in Java, which must be handled carefully to avoid program failures. The learning outcomes of this lecture: in this session we have discussed the use of try, catch and finally block, program demonstration of exception handling of some popular Java's built-in exceptions, and program demonstration of user-defined exceptions with the help of throw keyword, and also the use of throws keyword. In the next lecture we will try to discuss about the basics of file handling and stream classes in Java. So thank you very much.